All I ever wanted was to see you smiling. I know that I love you, oh baby, why don't you see? All I ever wanted was to see you smiling. All I ever wanted was to make you mine. I know that I love you, oh baby, why don't you see that all I ever wanted was you and me? All I ever wanted was to see you smiling. All I ever wanted was to make you mine. I know that I love you, oh baby, why don't you see that all I ever wanted was you and me?
I'm bringing you this podcast today to discuss an issue which has been on the forefront of internet policy disputes, that is, internet gambling. Gambling, which is simply playing for stakes, often on a game of chance, with the ultimate goal of winning a bigger payout than what was put in. Since its inception, the legality of gambling has been disputed across state and national borders, and the growth of the internet has brought a new medium by which gamblers can place bets. The global legal framework for internet gambling is a complex mixture of laws and regulations. In the U.S., both state and federal statutes apply, with an emphasis put on state laws. The history of gambling dates back as far as the beginning of man. When there are games or occurrences of chance, people have found ways to use them to their advantage by placing bets on the outcomes. Before the 1990s and the emergence of the internet, people wishing to place bets in the U.S. had two options if they wished to place a bet. Either A, they could travel to state which allowed gambling and place bets through legitimate casino or betting establishment, or they could place bets illegally through a bookmaker or bookie. However, with increased technology and the emergence of the internet, a new form of betting arose. People can now place bets through online casinos and sports betting websites, with revenues reaching the multi-billions. Internet gambling has become a very profitable business. While both state and federal U.S. lawmakers have increased pressure on banks and credit card companies to block internet gambling transactions, the internet continues to grow. The industry continues to grow. State and federal laws apply to internet gambling in the U.S. However, generally speaking, gambling is normally a matter of state laws and statutes. Legality of gambling is determined on a state-by-state basis. The states decide whether or not people are allowed to gamble within its borders and whether or not gambling institutions can legally conduct business there. However, since internet gambling is often conducted by international or interstate means, federal laws apply to protect the states from having their laws circumvented. The Wire Act is the only federal statute which has been used to prosecute illegal online gambling. The Travel Act and Illegal Gambling Business Act can also apply, however the Wire Act is most relevant. And in 2006, the federal government enacted a ban on internet gambling, which effectively drove internet-based casinos offshore. The ban, however, was inclusive to poker and other forms of non-sports betting. The Wire Act, enacted in 1961, strictly prohibits any and all gambling businesses from knowingly sending or receiving any forms of bets or information that can be used to assist in placing bets over both international and interstate wires. The lawmakers, however, have come to a lot of disagreement over the application of the Wire Act and its statutes. For one, courts disagree on which types of gambling are covered by the Wire Act. Some courts interpret the language of the statutes to only apply to sports betting. Second, courts have interpreted the phrase transmission of a wire communication to be highly ambiguous. Some say transmission only means sending, while others say it only means receiving. Thirdly, courts disagree that transmitting information is legal if two conditions are met. Either A, gambling is legal both where the bet is made and received, and the information transmitted only pertains to the bets placed. Lastly, the Wire Act is only violated if a wire communication facility is involved. All internet usage today is dependent on some form of wire transmission. However, with wireless communication on the verge of maturity, gambling may no longer be covered under the Wire Act. Illinois, Louisiana, Nevada, Oregon, and South Dakota are the only states which have laws specifically prohibiting types of internet gambling. In the other states which have not enacted new laws pertaining specifically to internet gambling, normal gambling laws would apply. The key actors involved in the internet gambling debate are the lawmakers and law enforcement agencies, the credit card companies, and the gaming industry. The federal lawmakers' primary concern is that internet gambling will allow gamblers and gambling institutions to circumvent state laws. The law enforcement agency's primary concern is that internet gambling could be a powerful medium by which people could launder money. Law enforcement officials cite the lack of regulation and oversight to be a contributing factor to the vulnerability of the internet gambling industry to money laundering. They are worried that the use of offshore gambling sites, accompanied with the high speed and volume at which these bets occur, could allow for money launderers to easily go undetected. Credit card companies in the gaming industry see no threat, however. They cite that internet gambling is no less susceptible to money laundering than any other forms of electronic commerce. The banking industry and card issuing associations in the United States, by pressure of lawmakers, are making efforts to block transactions made on internet gambling websites. Also, they see internet gambling as a high-risk industry and therefore bad for business. They are doing this by transaction coding. When the transaction is made with a credit or debit card, the transaction is coded, which helps the banks and associations block internet gambling transactions. Problems that bank and associations face are the gambling websites that attempt to miscode transactions, as well as cardholders who look to get around the system by using third-party intermediaries such as PayPal. The gaming industry's primary concern is persuading both state and federal lawmakers to allow for a system that they may be profitable and economically competitive. With the increased regulations in the U.S., online gaming companies are looking abroad to other countries with more lenient regulations or no regulations at all. With increased regulations on internet gambling in the United States, the gaming industry is looking for business abroad, and they are also encouraging the development of new technologies that will help facilitate gambling transactions. There are alternative payment methods that exist that have yet to be implemented by the gaming industry. These models are the merchant issuer model, the bank issuer model, the non-bank issuer model, and the peer-to-peer model. The merchant issuer model is a model by which the merchant issues a smart card. This is currently being used in the Washington, D.C. area subway system. The transportation system issues smart cards that riders can simply add money to at any time. The next model is the bank issuer model. This model is one in which the financial institution issues the smart card. The next model is the non-bank issuer model. This model is one where people exchange traditional money for a form of electronic cash or e-cash. The last model that could be employed by the gaming industry is the peer-to-peer model. This model is one where the bank gives out electronic cash, and this e-cash is then transferred from peer-to-peer as currency. These models represent the gaming industry's new business models. They are a response to the shift in market demand from gaming websites toward development of new payment methods that are isolated from state and federal laws jurisdictions. With the global recession still looming large in the United States, federal government has had increased pressure to find new sources of revenue, and as such has voted on a bill that would effectively legalize poker and other forms of non-sports betting. Senator Harry Reid's current draft of the bill, if voted on and passed, will legalize online poker and most likely boost the gaming industry's revenues profoundly. Also, the federal government will be able to heavily tax this industry, providing a new, steady stream of revenue for the government. With the current economic recession, the gaming industry could provide a solid boost to the economy and is definitely a piece of legislation to keep your eyes on in the coming months. The federal government is realizing that it's drawing dead and is looking to move all in with this coming legislation. All puns intended.